Here's Dean here, Dean 78904. If you want to get all technical on me, it's 2 hours nonstop. Mlb Dfs conversation taking y'all straight up the lock tonight. We have a 10 games, 3-man booth. Leading off for us, it's Stevie TPFL. If you know such things as the podcast and the Morning Grind podcast, I should specify and say the actual name. And specific to the conversation, producer Steve just tipped me off here, Stevie. You NASCAR streets, you're honest with NASCAR. Apparently you had a winner that just went down. Why are they racing on a Monday? I guess there was a rain out yesterday.
Yeah, they were in the Northeast, so it rained all day yesterday. They moved the race pretty early. Yesterday morning, it was like 11 a.m. For like a 3 p.m. race. They postponed it to Monday, which I think they made the right call. The weather was great today. The race was great. But yeah, we had an early week winner again. So 8.5 unit week for betting. Took down a tournament on Fanduel and keep the hot streak going here.
Did you bank it? Like as far as like it's all yours, you got to share it with like 1,000 of your closest friends and subscribers.
I won by I think like 8 points.
Solo ship.
Yep.
Look at you, Stevie. Congratulations. So no case of the Mondays for you.
I made the lineup on Sunday though, so I don't know.
Oh, that doesn't count. What is that? What are the people going to say? Is that
the case of the Mondays? Let's see how the baseball slate goes because I'm making baseball teams on Monday, so we'll see if it's the case of Mondays.
Well, this Monday you won. I don't know how much you won to take on this tournament though. You got the cash money on Monday though, so that doesn't count. This is the case of the Sundays because it's retroactive. I'm not sure how this works. But congratulations.
Sounds good.
Hey, where can I find your NASCAR content, Stevie? If I wanted to, if I was so inclined.
So rotogrinderscom/premium/NASCAR. It's where it's been for I think 6 years. So I don't see it going anywhere, assuming that they want me to keep doing it, and love doing it, and just happy to have another good week.
Bringing in Chop as well. The bar is set pretty high here at Chopper. Stevie took down a tournament in the afternoon. Let's take one down tonight for tonight's baseball slate. Yeah, apologies. And the producer, Steve, so the people know, I was ranting about the Masked Singer. We got to prioritize things pre-show. I was so upset about the Masked Singer for no particular reason, but I was upset about it. And Chop, I'm sure you're a big fan. That seems like something the Chop household gets around every Sunday night or Monday or Tuesday, or you stream all. I don't know when the Masked Singer comes out, I'll be honest. But you a big Masked Singer fan, Chop?
No, Dean. I when it first came out, it was intriguing for that first season, and tried to get the kids around the TV and we'd watch it. But it got real old real quick. So no, we're not a Masked Singer group over here now. But I'll also say I want to chime in here. I know a guy in the secret chat. I know a guy.
Yeah.
Who did nothing. He did nothing except for just like go to the pool and hang out and just read Stevie's content for like 5 minutes. And he turned 500 into 16 grand today. So
what?
It works, man. Yeah. I know. I didn't even know there was a race, or else I would have got in there. But yeah, he didn't do literally guy does nothing. Doesn't know shit about NASCAR.
Is that Kirkwood or is this a different guy?
No, it's a different guy. Guy. But I mean, it works. Stevie's content works, man.
There you go. Chop, what does the family watch? What is it? Is there a show that the Chop household gets together for? Everybody has their own little schedule and their own little thing.
Oh no, it's those days are over with, Dean. Like it's like that for a while, but that's the thing they don't tell you about parenthood is like that really awesome good time stuff. It lasts such a short amount of time, and then it's over with. I mean, and when I say it's over, it's like ridiculously over. So now, every Friday night, every day period during the summer, everybody's in their own, little segment of the house doing whatever they want, watching their own stuff. So now we don't do all that no more.
I decided to be I could have been an evil friend. I decided to be a good friend. I found out just the other day, I was talking to a friend of mine. He watches The Righteous Gemstones with his daughter, who's like 12. He watches it with her. And I sent him a text today. I said, you might want to not watch The Righteous Gemstones with her this week. There are some scenes, a long scene for sure. That is a wild show. Hilarious and fantastic and spectacular. And who am I to tell people how to parent, Chop? But probably wouldn't watch that episode with my daughter, hypothetically.
Definitely not. It's tough, Dean. It's weird, but I would say this much: in that secret chat, the secret chat last night, before I watched the episode, like I knew something was up when Kirky was in the chat, popped in, Gemstones, and he's all giddy and happy. I knew something was going on, and so I immediately left the chat. I didn't want to get no spoilers, but yeah, I knew something. I kind of knew where it was going from that point on because Kirky's a big. I told you about the website he's going to start.
What's the name of his website? Is this also in beta for the last 17 years?
Yeah, it's in beta. Where he's like that from is that Knocked Up, where those guys have the website where they go in and it just highlights just where the nudity is and the
it already exists. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he does. He's got one for, dinglings. And so, that's Kirk's thing, man, is he likes to highlight that stuff. Like he had me watching that Pam and Tommy show that time. It was just bizarre. He's got a weird, bizarre thing going on there, but I knew something was up when he got all giddy about the gemstone. So I should have been warned. He should have warned me though.
Something is up today with the weather, by the way. We're going to need Chief Meteorologist Kevin Roth. Going to go ahead and drop his article in the chat. 10 gamer going down. We do have a straight orange in Cincinnati today. So that's something we're going to have to monitor as far as weather. When it's orange, that's daunting and that's a concern. We'll see what Roth has to say in about an hour and 5 minutes. He'll be jumping on and give you guys updates all the way up to lock. And I presume at some point he'll probably update this article as well. Also in Pittsburgh, Cleveland at Pittsburgh, it's yellow-orange. Baltimore doesn't seem too dicey, but it is green-yellow. We'll be keeping an eye on that weather-wise. Some MLB debuts going down tonight, which is pretty fun. The pitcher, speaking of Pittsburgh, one of their bigger prospects in the organization, Quinn Priester. No relation to Will, far as I know. He probably would have confirmed. Cheese mentioned it in his article. I don't think it's a relation of any sort. But he's going to have his MLB debut against Cleveland tonight. They also called up Andy Rodriguez, one of their bigger prospects. That's Pittsburgh. And they called up Paguro. Paguro is another prospect. But all the prospects coming up today because Christian Encarnacion Strand, the Voltron is complete there in Cincinnati. All the prospects they have, he's making his debut. Not the best landing spot there against Logan Webb. Also weather issues, but he is 2K on DK, 2.5 on Fanduel. So, he was just annihilating, pummeling, double A there, triple A, wherever he was at, he was crushing, and one of the bigger prospects in baseball. De La Cruz, by the way, hitting leadoff today for Cincinnati. What do we have here, Stevie? This is your team, Boston. We'll be talking about the Red Sox. Earlier today, Pivetta was popping a pretty cheap pitcher against Oakland. We're not officially sure if he's going to be starting or not. I believe Joey Core, the manager, said he's going to pitch at some point either today or tomorrow, not being very clear when that would happen. I think we removed him from projections. It's going to be a bullpen game. We're expecting Brennan Bernardino to draw the start. You're not rostering him, obviously. I don't think you are. But what's the official clarity here, Stevie, or is there still no clarity? It's a late game, 9:40 on the East Coast. Rostering Pivetta is dicey because there's a chance he doesn't play. I think the people should be aware of that. And any more details we have on that, or is that basically where we stand as we are right now?
Yeah, I like Pivetta today, but with all the news surrounding it and, with them being so discreet about what's going on, I think it's an easy fade. It's clearly one of those situations where we're going to talk about fading him, and the opener is going to come out and throw one inning, and then Pivetta is going to come out and dominate 7 and shove it in our face. But I don't think you can play him without knowing when he's going to pitch. Hopefully it's just one of those situations where they use a bullpen today and Pivetta starts tomorrow and we can play him tomorrow.
Yeah, you guys both participated in the expert survey today. Maybe we'll hit up some of those questions today. Shop, you usually tend to tell the people exactly what you're playing in the expert survey. I assume you did that today. I'm scrolling down. I don't have it right in front of me. Tell the people, what are we playing, Shop? Are we having some fun? Are we running 150? We doing just the 3-entry max on a Monday night? What's the plan?
Yeah, 150 on each side, Dean. Just have a little fun with it, and we're at that point in the year, Dean. About a month from now, I probably won't do very much baseball, so just get it in while we can. So, Turkey makes a good point in chat, Dean. You do look sunburned. Did you do a little yard work, Dean?
Yard work. I stepped outside this weekend. I did touch a little bit of grass. Look, what is that green stuff? Let me touch that. But no, I think it's just I don't want to say the filter. It's just the way that the room is lit. I think it's what's going on right now. So yeah, I'm much whiter than I appear on the interwebs. So yeah, I went to the casino, Kirkwood. But did Kirkwood did he ever put out his video of him playing like what he promised the people over the break that he was going to be live streaming playing I guess high level video poker? Did that ever go down? Did that ever happen?
He did. It's nice of you to pay attention, Dean. We see where you're not paying attention, buddy. Yeah, he streamed. He live streamed his poker play, man.
Oh, and how did it go?
You have to ask
you
him.
didn't watch. You didn't watch.
I did, but I don't want to. I did. I was there. I even commented in there, but he was having a rough time of it for a while. So I wanted to step away. I didn't want to embarrass him like that. You know how it goes. If one of your friends falls down, you kind of want to act like you didn't see it, so you turn the other way and you don't even say nothing.
By the way, we got an update already as far as Cincinnati. A little bit better. It's still orange yellow. I'll read what Roth has to say. I'll actually drop this in chat again for the people because I see several people chiming in and asking, and I assume that's just because people kind of sprinkle it on through and they didn't jump on at 5:05 or 5:10. Orange yellow for Cincinnati. Thunderstorms should be moving in during the game. This is Roth speaking. Best guess, they have an in-game delay, a lengthy one, maybe halfway through the game. Then they go back out and eventually finish playing. Oh, that's not ideal if you're looking the roster. It's kind of thin as far as actually good arms. Logan Webb's a good pitcher. Great, tough offense to face there in Cincinnati. I know Milwaukee basically shut them down this weekend. And also it's a tough ballpark to pitch in, especially when you consider it's Logan Webb, the massive negative ballpark shift for him. But Webb is somebody that I was certainly considering and getting some shares of. And if we get a lengthy delay midway through the game, I guess depends on. If I get 6 innings, I'm fine. But 4, I don't know. We'll see. And again, Roth will get more clarity as this situation continues. Pittsburgh still yellow-orange, and you can read the rest of this at your own leisure. Winds in Wrigley, gently right to left and a bit in from right. I don't think there's anything crazy when it comes to weather edge, right? I know we got a fire emoji in Baltimore, 89 degrees in Baltimore, 8 miles per hour, dead center essentially. Bump of homers at 19% in 77 previous games. Was there something else? Okay, so Wrigley actually is playing pretty positive for pitchers, 144 previous games, and we're looking at a decrease in home runs at 22%. So there you go. Stevie, you tell me. Give me your screenshot as far as this slate. Got some prospects to talk about. There's no amazing offenses, right? Like the biggest total on the board is the Giants against Brandon Williamson. The Giants are facing a lefty, and that could be a disaster when it comes to pinch hits later on in the game. Jock Peterson is on that bench ready to come in. Austin Slater. I saw DerekCarty will be on later. Austin Slater, I think it was like 59% chance to get pinch hit for. Just seems really, really likely that he's going to get the hook at some point. But there's not a lot of great offenses as far as team totals. I think that's the only one above 5, unless I missed. What do we have here, Stevie? Is there only one team that has a 5-team total? I believe it's just one, and it's San Fran. Baltimore's and LA both exactly at 5. So, yeah, give me the screenshot here, Stevie. What are we looking at as far as the slate?
I mean, the weather is something that definitely going to impact how you build lineups today. The San Francisco news of it getting a little bit better makes it maybe a little easier to play bats in that game, but I don't think I'm touching the pitching in that game now. Had some interest in Webb, just kind of how the slate was shaking up. The Cleveland-Pittsburgh game, just kind of an ugly game as far as weather, and then, offenses, and the pitching's not great. Priester, not our boy Will, and I did do the podcast with him last night. He is confirmed? Not related. Yeah, I confirmed. Yeah. I asked him if it was his nephew, and he said no. So, but yeah, overall, I think pitching is really interesting on this slate because of how some of the weather has changed. I think we have some tough matchups, which could help pitching. But yeah, I think overall it's going to be one of those slates you're not going to feel very confident in your pitching. You're just going to kind of hope you get some ceiling games here.
I was in the Discord earlier today. We should mention, by the way, Discord channel. Most of our Discord channels are free now. There's a few exceptions. Stevie, I believe your NASCAR channel I think you got to be a premium NASCAR member. There's a couple that are exceptions, the BAT Discord channel, but otherwise, basically all of our Discord channels are free. And, I'm making more of an effort to become available. I saw Chop he was hanging out in the Discord channel earlier today. The people were demanding your Fast Five or your Fast and Furious rankings, your power rankings, all sorts of shenanigans that they can go down there in the Discord. And, I saw Chop even said, like, look, hey, I'm working on my article. If you have any questions about my article, this is how easily you're a man of the people, Chop. You're easily accessible. I don't know. I think the people wanted more of your Fast and the Furious takes at the time, but I was answering one of the start sit question, season long going on there. Check out the MLB channel. Channels obviously for all different sports. The live stream chat channel probably segues a little bit more for this show, and that's where you would that's the Crunch Time channels become the live stream chat channel as well. It's where you would ask your Crunch Time questions. But Chop, we're making more of an effort now to become available in Discord, so just want the people to know. Feel free to join us and hang out, and you can ask all sorts of questions. Chop, your take when it comes to this slate. It's a 10-gamer. It feels kind of smaller than a 10-gamer to me. There's not a lot to love unless you feel otherwise. Do you feel that way as well? Because there's not a lot like, oh, man, I got to get this team and that team and this team and these 6 pitchers. It's a lot of meh for me.
I would agree with that, Dean. From what I've been on the case here all day long, trying to string some content together, and not in love with the pitching, and I'm not in love with the hitting. It's weird. At least usually you have one or the other on a 10 game, so you could even have the best of both worlds. But on this one, I don't feel good, and I just added a dude to my. Might have to go back and redo my rankings, but I just added a dude just now on the fly to my pitcher pool that I was really kind of going to go against, but digging in a little bit, I saw the opposing lineup. So, yeah, I don't like either. Like the pitching is, it's okay. Then I go to the hitting, and I like San Francisco the most. I got them ranked number 1, but there's a lot of shenanigans there, and now there's weather there. So, and after San Francisco, man, I'm really not a big fan of any particular offense very much, man. So we'll get into the details later, but it's kind of a weird slate, man. This is going to be one where, my strategy on things like this, Dean, when I'm just not feeling it, sometimes I just kind of sit back and I let the bat kind of do a lot of the heavy lifting for me, as opposed to when I start looking around, I go, oh, shit. I like that. And then I don't defer to the bat as much. Slate like this, I might defer to the projections a little more.
I'm looking at the pen there for Cincinnati. Williamson, the lefty. There's only one lefty in that bullpen for Cincy, Alex Young. Everybody else is right-handed. There's also a chance of a delay. Pretty strong chance of a delay, it seems like. So even if Williamson's pitching well, there seems like a decent chance that he would get the hook, depending on when that rain arrives, 4th, 5th, 6th inning, something like that. So if San Fran's the most popular team on this slate, and I understand why, I get it, the ballpark, that Williamson, one of the worst pitchers, but they're going to be so annoying, I'm telling you, when your guy is at the plate with bases loaded, the 7th inning, and he gets the hook because they bring in a righty. I'm going to be less in the field on San Fran. That's just the risk I'm willing to take. Now, my teams are gross, too, just for the record. I cannot believe the teams I ranked 1 and 2 teams that I basically never play. You want to guess? I don't know if you looked at it, Stevie. I'm framing this in a way where, I did the rankings today, consensus rankings myself, the Lutz, Chop, and Keith Eister. Got to rank 5 stacks today. My top 2 stacks are who, Stevie? I'm framing it. I'm telling you, they're gross.
Detroit and Cleveland.
Yeah, Detroit's one of them, not Cleveland. Cleveland just doesn't homer is my issue. And I think
Detroit does?
Well, no, not really. But you know who gives up home runs is Jordan Lyles. Jordan Lyles gives up more homers per 9, I believe, than anybody in the slate. Grayson Rodriguez doesn't really count. I guess he kind of sort of does, right? He's not a complete project. Theoretically, he's worked on some stuff. It'll be better. But he's facing the Dodgers. 2.5 per 9 is too many. But Lyles has given up almost 2 per 9 this year. So I think Jordan Lyles stinks more than Detroit stinks. And also Detroit's really, really cheap is the other part of it, too. They're super, super cheap. And then, of course, I got to go back to picking on Luis Severino and the Angels. And, Ohtani versus Severino, I know the most likely outcome, no matter how good the hitter is, no matter how bad the pitcher is, like the hitter's just supposed to get out. But how does Severino get Ohtani out? Like outside of, like he's going to hit a rocket somewhere or he walks him. I just, whatever. Baseball goofiness,
I love the Angels today as a whole.
Yeah.
We crossing off some of these early games because of weather. I like Chop. I like the Giants, but I mean, pinch hit risk. If the rain comes and we get like rain on the third inning and they bring in a righty, we lose all those left-handed bats. So, I mean, there's so much risk with the Giants now. And I love where the Angels are at, depending on like who's in the lineup. Moustakas has been hitting the ball really well. Moniak's good. Ohtani's good, obviously. I hope they have Cabbage in there. It'd be interesting to see if he cracks the lineup or not. He's 2K, big power in AAA this year. So, like, he's someone that could potentially help us with pitching and getting Ohtani in there. So, yeah, I mean, the Angels as a whole really like the offense.
Oh, man. Yeah, so the Angels and Detroit is kind of where I'm at tonight. And then, it's not hard to fit them in, and you can actually get some stars along with them if you want to do so. I know we talk pitchers first, but I just want to kind of get that take out of the way. I do see TJ hanging out in chat. What's up, TJ? TJ's encouraging people with that like button, subscribe, turn on those notifications, and do all those things. Kindly consider turning on those notifications so we go live. I believe he is dropping Spidey bombs. Of course, we'll get Chop's Triple G's plays. We'll get Chop's. What other nonsense do you have, Chop? I always forget. I apologize. I don't have this stuff written down.
No, I'm not gonna respond to nonsense. No, I'm not responding to that, brother.
But I thought it was funny. You quit after 4 months of the season. You're like, I'm out. The last 2 months is just you can't. Like you hit your wall. And I guess college football is where you start ramping up. In NFL, is that what's going on there? Oh, the knockers, Chopper's knockers. How could I?
How could you forget? Yeah, Dean. Once we get to late August, football, man. It's football time and baseball, adios. Unless the Astros are making a run to the World Series, then I'll pay attention to the postseason.
By the way, TJ did unleash his first Spidey bomb, and it happens to be a Detroit Tiger, Kerry Carpenter. Who's I think he's cheap on one site and pricey on the other, if I'm not mistaken. 2.9 on. Oh no, he's cheap on both. 2.9 on Fanduel, 3.2 on DK. I'm thinking of Riley Green, who's like almost 5K on DK. Still like him a fair bit at 4.7K. But yeah, Spidey bombs will be unleashed. You got the knockers. Stevie, is this our first iteration, myself, yourself, and Chop in baseball this year? I feel like it is. If it isn't, I guess it just wasn't that memorable for me. Is this the first time we've done this?
I think this baseball season. Chop can correct me, but I haven't done a show with Chop in a while. I feel like we've been around for a very long time, but we don't tend to end up on a lot of shows together anymore. I haven't done a show with Kirkwood in a while either. Like, I don't know what's going on. I got to talk to Devin, and maybe I'll just start throwing myself on the schedule on some of the days when I'm doing the morning grind schedule.
Well, I mean, producer Devin's hanging out in chat as well, so feel free to throw it out there for that. I guess he'll make it work. If you make a request to work with Kirkwood, I assume we can make that happen. I don't want to speak on behalf of Devin. Cody
We're going
to
talk about how bad our Red Sox are.
Yeah, they're pretty terrible. Are you guys selling pieces off? I mean, to be fair, you're in a tough division, right? I think everybody in that division is over. You're all over 500. You're all like, 55 wins? I saw a stat the other day. Is that right? I think it's 55 wins for everybody in the AL East. But, you're still dead last. I think you're last in that division. Are there any pieces to sell off for Boston? Who's available?
I don't think they are going to be sellers. But, I mean, it's tough. It's a tough year. They don't really have, unless somebody wants, Justin Turner's contract. But I just don't see them moving pieces here. Maybe
Cody,
Paxton, maybe.
He's probably got a short-term contract, right? That seems like something you can move, and he's old, 34, something like that. Cody's asking, is Ohtani a lock? And we like to give suggestions, right, Chop? And in baseball, there's no such thing as a lock. And if you tell me Ohtani is going to make 40 or 50% owned in a contest, you probably don't want him. Just as a general rule, a general thought, you probably want to be under that. Of course, he can hit 2 homers and absolutely bury you, but that's just how it goes. Yeah, Chop, that's the best play in the slate, right? Your boy Ohtani?
The best play? What do you mean? Like
forgetting ownership and things like that. Just like
Well,
the best projected hitter.
Yeah, raw projection, sure. Yeah, definitely. He's just in a league of his own, especially tonight where there's not. Although I think Jose Ramirez is a. I don't want to say a close second, but I really like Jose Ramirez. Don't like the weather and all that. We'll figure that out as we get closer to game time. But yeah, this guy's in a stratosphere of his own right now, man.
Stevie, how much of a dive did you do in on this Pittsburgh pitcher? What I saw is he's like top 2 prospect in the organization as far as pitcher, top 100. This kind of stuff changes throughout the season, depending on where you look as well. But Quinn Priester looks like he's a legit decent pitcher. Of course, there's some weather there lurking there. So I don't really know what to do with that game in general. I don't know if Quinn Priester is like rosterable. I saw TJ asking am I stupid for rostering Quinn Priester? And I wouldn't say that. If it's weather, the weather permitting, Cleveland's not a fun team to pick on, obviously, but maybe you can go 5 or 6 and drop 4 or 5 or 6 Ks. And there's not a huge opportunity cost when it comes to pitchers tonight. I think you could do worse than Quinn Priester, but that's not a rousing endorsement. But like the pedigree's there, right? I assume you dug into him. You like pitchers.
Yeah, so he has a fantastic, like well above average curveball, and he has a below average fastball. So it really is going to kind of depend on, can he command the fastball well enough to generate strikeouts with the curveball? That's kind of what he's been able to do at AAA. But I mean, even looking at his AA stuff, he really just hasn't had like big time dominant stuff. He is a top prospect, like you mentioned. He's their number 1 top pitcher prospect. He is not a top 100 prospect in baseball as we were coming into the season, though. So, I mean, I love what Pittsburgh does with pitching. He seems to be a ground ball guy that doesn't typically give up a lot of home runs. And it's not like this team is very good outside of Jose Ramirez. So depending on the weather, losing Pivetta, I think definitely makes Priester a little bit more playable today if the weather is okay in Pittsburgh.
We should clarify, we haven't officially lost Pivetta, but Pivetta is like fully dicey, right? We haven't lost him necessarily.
I mean, you can't. I don't think you can play a guy that if you don't know if he's going to pitch or not today.
Dean, what world are you living in, Dean? Can't play a guy we don't even know if he's going to play.
Pitcher,
you can play a position player, sure. I hope this guy doesn't lose too many at bats. But you can't do a pitcher, Dean. You just got to lay off of it.
Well, why can't he come in the second or third inning and go 4 or 5, 6 innings and get the W? Like these things can happen. I'm not endorsing it. I just want to be clear that there's a realm of possibilities.
Usually, when we look to roster pitchers in DFS, we're looking at probable pitchers that day, and if they're probable and you think they're going to get in, you can then go ahead and do all the projections and run all the numbers. There may be a situation where there's an opener, and then a guy who's going to eat up some innings behind him. They usually give us the heads up on that, so we can adjust accordingly, Dean. But when they come out and say he may pitch today, but he may pitch tomorrow, we don't know what we're going to do with Pivetta. You kind of got to just.
Stevie said we lost him, and I'm saying he might be found.
We might have lost him for DFS purposes, But Dean.
Yes.
Let me give you my
scouting.
Said
he wasn't pitching.
Let me give you my scouting report on Mr. Priester, Dean.
Go ahead.
He's 6'3", about to be 23 years old. He was the round 1 pick in 2019. Like Steve said, really good curveball, above average slider, bad fastball. I see nothing in his track record from A, AA, AAA that shows me anything that says, yeah, this guy's a dominator. Like some of the other guys we've seen called up this year, like those guys have been dominators. So I could see stacking against this guy, but I could see that thing where you've never seen a pitcher before and he comes in, he has a nice 5 or 6 innings and you actually did pretty good with him. So this could go either way right here.
Yeah. And by the way, Steve was talking about him not being top 100. I think it depends where you're looking because like Fangraphs has him over like 115 or something like that. But
that's not top 100.
Oh, no, but yes, I
MLB shifts throughout the year. Fangraphs is what they had at the beginning of the season coming into the year. So that's
better to my point because Priester is currently 60 on MLB.com.
There you go.
Hashtag well, actually.
Still not 100.
Wait, no, 60. If you're 60, you're in the top 100. Hold on a second.
I just like messing with you, Dean.
I'm going to need a judge's ruling on this.
I also said coming into the season he wasn't top 100. So if you paid attention more to what I was talking about, you would know that I didn't say right now he's 60th prospect in baseball. I said coming into the season he wasn't a top 100 prospect.
Dean's too busy. Dean's too busy worried about the tanning bed after the show.
I'm roasted, of course. I'm looking at the image. I don't know what's going on, but yeah, I got an Oompa Loompa thing going on for some reason. I'll start turning purple later on in the show. Kirkwood says, speaking of not listening to me or having a tricky job as far as understanding what somebody's saying, it's a 10-game slate and Dean is touting Pivetta. I'm not. Just making it clear that it's possible. Yada, yada. Okay.
Well, to be fair, like last time Pivetta pitched 10 days ago, they brought him out of the bullpen. But they said they were going to do that. The fact that they are saying like he may or may not pitch today, I think that is the biggest like difference between this time and last time. Last time Pivetta, they said they were going to open with somebody and he was going to come in and throw bulk pitches. That's not what they're saying this time. So you might want to be careful on your touting there, Dean.
I was not touting. I want to be very clear. I'm not on Pivetta Hill. So I will tout, and everybody else is going to tout, and everybody else is going to roster Logan Gilbert. He's also kind of cheap on DK too by his standards, 9.8K against a Minnesota team that strikes out a fair bit. Ownership wise, again, we have 10 games theoretically, 20 starting pitchers, not really, kind of sort of. He's getting 57% ownership, and also we're getting 22% currently for Logan Webb, who may get his start thwarted. And I don't know how to. If I'm not on the projection team, but I personally would be pumping him down a little bit. You guys are talking about maybe scratching him out altogether. And where does that 22% go? Even more to Gilbert? Does it go to Sonny Gray, who's getting 19%, which I don't really love, 19, 20% Sonny Gray at 9, almost 10K. It's fine. Griffin Canning is getting 17%. Luzardo's getting 15. I think Luzardo is legit, really, really good pitcher. Marlins did a good job there getting him off Oakland's hands a couple of years ago. Starling Marte, I believe, was the straight-up deal. I'm not mistaken, when Oakland was like trying to make the playoffs. Remember that? I'm old enough. Pepperidge Farm remembers. Luzardo's, I just don't like St. Louis, taking on St. Louis with a lefty, but Luzardo's really good. And again, what are our alternatives here, Chop? Logan Gilbert, 57%. It might even be higher than that. It will, I think, if Webb gets dicey or just thrown out altogether. How much Gilbert? Are we leaning in? We're just going to hit that lock button almost here, Chop. We'll do an official Logan Gilbert stand. And then beyond that, and especially on DK, we got a roster too. Who's the next most comfortable starter for you?
Yeah, I mean, Logan Gilbert's my number one tonight right now. Just like if you read the survey and stuff, and it's basically there's three guys ahead of him, like in a vacuum, that are better pitchers, this season, that are raw projections will typically be higher on those guys. But those guys all have really tough matchups that really drive them underneath Logan Gilbert for me. So Gilbert's my number one. He has the easiest matchup by far out of that big four. So I'm going Logan Gilbert pretty heavy tonight. The weather on Logan Webb scares me. There's some other McClanahan. The matchup right there is like, that's rough, man. Texas is really good. Luzardo again.
Leash as well for McClanahan. Not the cut you off.
And he hasn't been spectacular for a while now. And then you have Luzardo's really good. I love the talent there, but St. Louis is solid, man. So it's Logan Gilbert. So then I'm gonna probably, my SP2 is gonna be a much cheaper guy. And right now, Griffin Canning comes to mind, and he's a guy I could get behind. And like, I see a really rough, I don't know, the team total against Emmett Sheehan is pretty high, but on this slate, man, I might want to take a stab at that one as an SP2. And then one guy that popped on my radar here, Dean, right before the show, when I finally got the lineup for the opposition, was Matt Manning. I was not going to go with Matt Manning. I was going to, coming off of that little no-hit thing he did, and I was going to fade him and maybe even stack against him. But boy, KC might have put out the biggest pile of hot trash, man, I've seen in quite a while for an MLB roster. So I think Matt Manning is squarely, might be my favorite SP2 now for DraftKings.
Perez is hurt. He's not in the lineup. It's Isbell. Witt is a legit good baseball player. Melendez has shown signs. Fermin is whatever. Prado, Waters, Massey, Lopez doesn't strike out, but he's terrible. And Samad Taylor. The tricky part is Manning is kind of horrendous too. His K rate's under 17%. But I hear you. Yeah, I mean, sure, why not? Stevie, you got a thought as far as Matt Manning today? It gets pretty gross at pitcher, and if you get your 13 points out of him, I think you're okay.
So Manning's done a great job recently of limiting power, generating more ground balls, and his strikeout rate is actually closer to what it was last year, 18.5%. So I'm with Chop. This lineup came out and it was like, all right, well, I found my replacement for Pivetta. Is that better, Dean? Not crossing off Pivetta, replacing him with someone that's actually starting tonight?
Well, somebody might have heard that and thought, well, Pivetta's just gone. He's disappeared. Is he is he injured? What happened?
But anyway, I think Matt Manning's a great call. A lot of strikeouts in this lineup. I mean, really, you're just worried about maybe one or two guys here. Furman and Witt would be the two guys that I'd be worried about in this lineup, but overall the lineup stinks. Manning is someone that can generate some outs here, and we kind of need some cheap because, I mean, we have plenty of bats to pay up for. But going back to the conversation of like top end pitchers, I couldn't agree more with Chop. Gilbert, he's the best pitcher on the slate. My only concern is the ownership. So when I'm building out, I built 5 teams today on DraftKings. So 3 entry max and a couple single entry stuff. Looking at his ownership, I'm off of it. I'm playing him on 1 of 5 teams. I don't love it. He should pitch really well. He could dominate this team and really kind of stick it to me. But I'm chasing the ceiling game from Luzardo here. Tough matchup on paper against St. Louis. But as I mentioned in the expert survey, we're getting a fifth of the ownership for Luzardo to Gilbert. And Luzardo's a top 5 pitcher in baseball this season when it comes to strikeouts. Like I think he's 6th in strikeout rate and 5th in swinging strikes. He just has great stuff. There's a ton of strikeouts in this Cardinals lineup. Like you look at the bottom half of this lineup, Walker, DeJong, Nootbaar, Contreras is striking out a ton. So you're just kind of worried about him not getting blown up by like Goldschmidt, Arenado, or the power bats here. But I think Luzardo is the best tournament pitcher on the slate tonight.
Yeah, I like that too. By the way, in chats, Dimitri Dash says, Chop, great name, by the way. Chop, you're my guy, but the Cards are trash. They're not trash versus lefties. They were the best team in baseball versus lefties. This year, I just kind of ran their current stuff, and they're middle of the road. They're trash as far as their pitchers, for sure, but WRC plus active roster 107, better than average. I thought Tyler O'Neill was coming back today. Did I make that up? And I thought I saw it on Twitter somewhere. Maybe he's lurking in the bench. He's not starting, or maybe it's I misread something. He should be coming back soon. But yeah, Chop, they're basically in the middle of the road this year versus lefties. So we saw last year. And they added, Walker theoretically should make them better. He wasn't there last year. Contreras should make them better as opposed to Molina. It's pretty rough on the backhand, but
O'Neill's coming back Tuesday, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay.
They they're a bad organization right now. It doesn't make them a bad offense tonight against the left-hander. And I'm not saying that Luzardo's going to get blown up. I'm just saying it's enough to knock him underneath Logan Gilbert. And there's going to one left-handed batter in the whole lineup they're throwing out there, and that's going to be way down at number 8. So it's just not an easy matchup. He could definitely mow through them and have a ceiling game, but I just meant it as I prefer Gilbert because of the matchups.
Yeah, it's a tough matchup. Really quick, Dean, just to talk more on Luzardo and why he's excelling more this year against righties. He's not throwing a sinker as much. It was a pitch that kind of got blown up a lot last year, and he's throwing his fastball more. I did a deep dive on him earlier today. His strikeout rate is 36% against right-handed hitters over the last month. It's clicking. He's pitching really well, and he's just generating a ton of strikeouts with his stuff, and he's not like trying to overdo it with the sinker anymore, and it's really kind of worked out for him.
Oh, you have a pitcher's brain, Stevie. I'm curious your thoughts. Miles Michaelis, he pitched a couple days ago, and that game rained out. He threw 3 innings. How does that? I mean, we're not rostering Michaelis, I don't think, just because he's really got to have BABIP on his side, and he can maybe eke his way to 5 strikeouts or something like that. But You think it's strange that he's back out there? He pitched on the 14th, and is that just like his side session essentially? Is that weird, or is it? Yeah, how does that work?
So typically you get 5 days rest, right? You the first day you run a lot, you try to get the acid out of your body from pitching. The second day you'll do short toss and long toss, and the third day you'll typically do like a 40 to 50 pitch bullpen. So all he did was split that and just kind of do the bullpen in the game. He threw 35 pitches outside of warming up. So it was, I think it's okay for him. I don't think it matters because I don't think we're playing him today because he's pitching to contact and he stinks this year. But overall, I mean, it's really like how it kind of fell like today and when he pitched, it was more of a bullpen type of simulated bullpen game for him.
I thought it was just interesting. I was curious to get your take on that because I'm not sure if they would do that for every pitcher. And also, like, he doesn't seem like a guy that like uses full force. You know, he's just almost like I don't know, it's like a knuckleballer. You just kind of throw him out there whenever. But yeah, that was well explained. By the way, we got a Boston lineup. No Devers. We're looking for pitchers. The Boston lineup is Duran, Verdugo, Turner, Yoshida, Duvall, Casas, Arroyo, Wong, and Cheng. I mean, Blackburn.
No. No. We're not playing Blackburn. We're playing Manning over Blackburn. Don't do that to yourself.
Several people in chat are touting Blackburn.
Why are you playing a low strikeout pitcher against a low strikeout team?
Yeah, I mean, Manning's a low strikeout pitcher, but he's facing a team that will give him some strikeouts. So that's like kind of the counterpoint. It's a good ballpark, yada yada. It's gross. It's just that SP2 is so bad.
Play like Mackenzie Gore. Like if you want to chase, if you want to chase some upside, take a shot on like Mackenzie Gore. I'm not saying that like Blackburn can't go out and score like 12 or 13, 15 fantasy points. I just think if you want to chase like some ceiling, like Mackenzie Gore has a 30% K rate. Like he's capable of putting up big games against a high strikeout Cubs team where Blackburn's facing a team that is one of the lowest strikeout teams in baseball. So, like, I would take a shot on Mackenzie Gore before I'd take a shot on Blackburn.
For what it's worth, Blackburn 24% Ks this year. So, I mean, it's not like he's a low strikeout pitcher, but I hear what you're saying. Did that change anything for your Chop? You got swayed into Manning. And by the way, I don't know if you know this, Chop, or not. This is important. This was pointed out in chat from Michael. You were touting, like, all in for Matt Manning. That's how I heard it, at least. Do you know there's an easy to hit umpire in that game where Matt Manning's
no.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Yeah, I kind of don't think it matters with that lineup they put out there, man. I'm willing to take my chances on it. I don't know which pitcher you want me to comment on. Oh, whatever Blackburn. Yeah, to go back to what y'all were saying about Mikolas, I had that highlighted like 3 days rest and went 3 full innings, cut short by rain. I don't like it. I don't like that. So I do like the matchup though. But Blackburn, he hasn't been bad this year, not at all. He's been pretty good, and I think that no Devers helps his cause, but I'm gonna find it hard to have too many Blackburn teams. I mean, yeah, I do see something in chat, and I think it's interesting. The man says, let me find him, man. Gosh darn. He asks, Stan Kruger says, do I have any interest in Sheehan? I'm assuming he means the Dodgers prized prospect.
Yeah. I mean,
I do.
A prospect. Is he a prized prospect?
I do.
He's a prospect.
I have some interest in that one because just generally speaking, I think he had a bad outing last time, but yeah, Baltimore hasn't been quite as good as I thought they would be. They haven't been quite as good as they were to start the year. I think there's I forget who it was in this lineup I know Cedric Mullins is out. The bottom of that lineup looks a little rough. I think another guy's resting tonight too. I can't remember right off the top of my head. But this guy, he's not great, but he does, if you're into that short sample stuff, he does have the lowest expected ERA of any pitcher on the slate this year, and he's had several starts. So he's not bad. There's talent there. The matchup is not bad tonight. For that price tag and the fact that we've already talked about, it gets a little rough, man, for some of these picking a pitcher after the first couple. Sure, I do have interest. I do have interest in Sheehan.
No Westberg for Baltimore, the rookie, and I believe Austin Hayes.
Yeah.
Who's a lefty. He's typically starting against righties. I'm not sure why he's not playing today. Yeah, but no Pittsburgh lineup just yet for some reason. That seems kind of weird. Now the game starts in about an hour and a half, but typically you figure they'd have something. They do have some rookies they're trying to work in there. Oh, wait, no, Hayes is a righty. That's right. Yeah.
They're waiting on the weather in Pittsburgh, Dean.
They're not going to unleash a lineup until.
Well, they can't. If they're projected to have a delay, then they won't start McCutchen.
McCutchen's on the IL, I believe.
Yeah,
so
that's why they won't start him.
Oh, is he due to come back today?
I don't know, Dean. I'm just
blowing smoke at
you. I'm just blowing smoke at you, Dean.
I caught you in like the
McCutchen thing. He got activated yesterday. He's not on the IL anymore.
Oh, okay. Damn. I was right, Dean.
Oh, Dean, sup?
What's up, Dean? I was right.
By accident.
I got you, Dean. I schooled you.
He was McCutchen was torn with the furries, I believe. They left the Pittsburgh. He's a big fan of the furries, so maybe that's what's going on. I think he was actually legit injured. Matt's asking who is the seventh hitter for the Reds. Is he not showing up? It's Encarnacio Strand. Yeah, there he is. Christian Encarnacio Strand, prize prospect. He's a legit prospect. Absolutely smashing in AAA. I hate the landing spot there against Webb, but he is super, super cheap. And, Cincinnati is kind of overpriced, but they're a way to get to he's one of the ways to help you get to a Cincinnati stack because he is super cheap. Anything else we need to address as far as pitchers I'm trying to see? You're talking about making a 5 lineup, Stevie. Are we going double barrel? I think because I'm playing some Detroit players. I'm playing some cheap Angels. I don't think it's going to be hard. I have not made my lineups just yet. I kind of have shell stuff that I'm sure is going to mess around and tinker after the show. But I'm looking at the likelihood of probably going double barrel is probably the wrong way of saying it because it's not like we're rolling out the 2 best pitchers in baseball, but like Webb, Webb probably not available. Gilbert, Luzardo, Gilbert, Gore. Is that what we're looking at here? Is that are you spending up at SP2 or you think you're spending down or you're kind of mixing and matching?
I have one lineup that has Luzardo Canning. Like I don't have like a full on double barrel pay up pitchers today. So like, Sonny Gray, I was kind of flirting with the idea of playing him and Luzardo together, and just liked how the lineup kind of built out with Canning Luzardo. So yeah, I don't have like Gilbert Luzardo on any teams. I think being underweight on Gilbert's good enough for me today.
Yeah, Alex is asking no Sonny Gray in that bunch. Yeah, he's probably that bunch too. I kind of have a negative bias against Sonny Gray. I don't like rostering him. He tends to get pulled earlier than I want him to. They don't really push him too hard, but sure, on this night, I guess he's in the mix. Yeah, Chop, where are you at as far as Sonny Gray?
Yeah, he's he wasn't in my top 5 of like general the talent pitchers on this slate. He's okay. Yeah. I mean, I don't know, man. Sonny Gray. It's like Seattle hasn't been particularly good this year, but they do have some power in the lineup, and they're par for the course when it comes to trying to steal. So I don't know. I don't want to attack Seattle, and the lineup's not bad enough, but he's okay. He's all right. I don't know. He falls outside my top 5, I think.
Important note here in chat, according to Matt, Wiz Khalifa is throwing out the first pitch tonight in Pittsburgh, and apparently Wiz Khalifa said he's plans on getting stoned AF, and so that's going to be worth monitoring. Have either one of you guys thrown out a first pitch? You guys are big-time celebrities. Like probably the hat you're wearing there, Stevie. You probably threw out a first pitch for that minor league team. And if you did, you got to go. I mean, you got to go from the mound, right? Would you just gas it? Steve, you could still gas it these days. You'll probably burn your arm out for the next week or so. But once upon a time, you used to throw like in the high 90s, right?
Yeah, long time ago. It feels like a lifetime ago. I would not try to throw hard if I got to throw out a first pitch. I threw the baseball around with my nephew the other day, and I hurt for like a week and a half. So can't mess with the disc golf arm, man. I can't do it. So. But yeah, I'd toss a nice little pitch in there. But no, I haven't thrown out a first pitch.
I'm Googling the worst first pitches ever. Of course, I think of Baba Booey from Howard Stern show.
50 Cent has to be one of the worst.
50 Cent's on the board, number 2. Yeah. Carly Rae Jepsen apparently did a terrible job in Tampa. Anthony Fauci, number 1. Michael Jordan, number 4. Really? Of course, this is according to the New York
Cabbage in the
Post.
lineup for LA, like that.
Get excited.
I am excited.
Chop, you ever throw out a first pitch, Chop? And like, what's the most memorable first pitch you can think of?
I mean, I don't know, Dean. Probably. No, I've never thrown out a first pitch. I saw STO Cards do it that one time. He got, invited. You don't remember that?
I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, he got like at St. Louis, the big ballpark. He got a first pitch. DK sent him to do
from the mound or in front of the mound.
I don't know if he went up to the mound or if he did the kiddie mound. I'm not sure, but he got to throw it out. But if I were to get that opportunity, yes, Dean, I would give it. I can probably reach about 70 to 75 on a fastball these days.
Okay,
but I'm pretty damn accurate, so I would probably give it. I would probably put it in the sweet spot where it's about 70, but right down the middle, make it look good. But serious, I think the one that I remember the most, somebody threw one time and it went way to the right and it hit some dude in the nuts. I remember that. That was a funny one.
Was that 50 Cent?
No, 50 Cent like yanked it to the left side.
Yeah, left side.
Okay. Yeah. That was a Met game, I believe, right? Yeah, there's been some terrible ones for sure. According to the list, apparently Dirk Nowitzki did a terrible job throwing out a first pitch. I have not seen evidence of this. We'll take word on it. Angels lineup did drop. The official lineup: Neto leading off, Ohtani, Moniak, Ward, Moustakos. He's been hot of late. Ice, Renfroe, Cabbage, and Escobar. Is that what we were expecting? Ward's in there too. Were we expecting Cabbage? He was kind of a 50-50 deal, right, Stevie?
No, I thought he was going to play. I think like the fact they called him up and they want to get him at bats. Yeah, I would assume he was going to play.
Carl Lewis. I remember Carl Lewis's national anthem they're talking about. Apparently did a terrible job throwing out the first pitch too. No Rengifo. That's what I was looking at as far as the Angels. That too looks a little bit different.
Yeah, because he stinks. I mean, yeah. I think Cabbage has a chance to get some like everyday playing time until Drury gets back right now, I think.
They're talking about the Marine lair out there in LA, a different lair in Pittsburgh, having a good time. Hey, give a summary. So I just joined the show here, Chop. I just jumped on. Give me the summary as far as pitchers. We'll talk stacks in a second. Whatever the chat wants us to talk about. Do fire off your questions in chat. Oh, did my video just go away? Good Lord. Unbelievable. If you guys can't see me, I think I'm still here.
No, you're still good.
All right,
we
Chop.
We can see you. My summary would be that there's some talented guys up top, but they have tough matchups. So Logan Gilbert ends up my number one guy. And from there, I'm going to be saving some money on my next round of starting pitchers. I like Sheehan, Canning, Manning the most. Not saying I don't like those really good, talented guys, but those are the guys I like the most. And by the way, Dean just has a little bonus here. If you're on Prize Picks, like I'm looking at this Matt Manning, well, it just got bumped up as we speak from 16 pitching outs to 16 and a half pitching outs tonight. Like that's kind of on par with what he does anyway. Like, how does he not do that against this lineup? He's got to get through 5 2/3, 6 innings tonight. Yeah, he can do that, right? Like, I got to take that Manning. I got to take that Manning prop right there and go over those pitching outs.
By the way, I did a Prize Picks yesterday. Ohtani over 1.5 total bases. I mean, come on. Yeah, come on. He should knock that out against Severino. And I sort of correlated it as well. I have Severino under 5 strikeouts. I figure maybe worst case scenario, you chop it, he gets the 5. I don't know if those numbers have changed. I did it last night in the middle of the night, but I don't think Severino's just not my guy. He still had 5 strikeouts for what it's worth, so I would take the under on that. But I just think he's one of the worst pitchers in the slate. I know talked to Baltimore last time, and it's not the same situation. Like that Baltimore lineup much better, like that ballpark better the other time, and they're locked in for 9 innings. But one of my favorite offenses is going to be the Angels. We'll talk about the stacks in just a second. Stevie, talk to me about your favorite pitchers. Give me the summary.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're building a cash lineup, Gilbert is a fantastic play. I think he is one of the best pitchers on the slate, and just worried about his ownership in tournaments. I like Luzardo. He's my favorite tournament play today. I mean, McClanahan, I'm not playing him today. I'm worried about the pitch count. He's coming back from injury. They've been very careful with him. So I don't expect him to pitch deep into this game. Tampa is very careful with their pitchers in general. Logan Webb had some interest earlier. We'll have to see what Roth has to say on crunch time here when we get done. Curry's not pitching deep, not playing him. So kind of cheap pitchers I'm looking at. Canning, Gore, Manning would be the three guys now that we've lost Pavetta to an opener. Just for you, Dean.
Yeah, I'm just going to let that sit there. I hope he comes in and pitches like 5 clean.
I'm not saying he won't, but the fact that they won't like say that he is going to be the guy that comes in and pitches behind him, I think that's why you can't play him.
Yeah, I mean, you can't play him in your first 20 lineups, but like lineup 150, you can't play him?
He's not 5K, Dean. Like he's 72 or like 7,200. If he doesn't pitch today, you're not winning money on that team. Your offense could score 15 runs, and if you get a 0 from your pitcher, you're still not going to win because people are going to play pitchers that actually pitch in the game.
Well, certainly you've won a tournament before where your pitcher gives you like 2 points. Like it happens. A small tournament I'm talking about. Not the lottery with 20,000 people in it or whatever. But
I mean, I've won tournaments with 0 from hitters, but never a 0 from a pitcher.
All right, there are some questions loading up in chat. And yeah, get all your questions in. We're going to answer whatever you can until we yield to crunch time. Crunch time. You got Chief Meteorologist Kevin Roth. Roth will give you an update weather-wise as far as what's going on in Cincinnati. Last we have is orange yellow. I'll go ahead and drop this in chat. It's been a while. Orange yellow in Cincy and yellow orange in Pittsburgh. Green yellow in Baltimore. Everything else looks like we're going to be without issue. But yield to Roth. I believe you get TastefulTides. TastefulTides, Tim, the single entry, 3 entry max, the cash game specialist, as well as DerekCarty, CEO of the Bat and the Blitz. Some questions are loading up now. I'm just going to walk back and see if I missed anything. My apologies if I did so. Apparently, there's going to be wildfires. So what do you got, Chop?
In the chat, I see a couple of things. First of all, I see
what catches your eye.
Jared Barden is in chat, and Jared Barden is a guy who used Stevie's NASCAR package today to make a lot of money. So basically, Stevie's package really stuffed Jared Barden, stuffed his wallet full of cash today. So Jared Barden
took to see the crap you got there, yeah.
Yeah, Jared Barden got stuffed by Stevie today. Kirk Wood's commenting on the gemstones. We knew this was coming. Kirky, a big fan of last night's final couple of scenes. That really gets his. I don't know. Kirk finds that thrilling. I don't know what the deal is with that, but he likes that kind of stuff.
It was spectacular for the record.
And we got Butthole Jenkins in chat, and he wants my plums. He wants me to fill it in my plums today for plays of the night. We're gonna get to some plays.
You have
right
plums now. Too? You have the Triple G. You got the BVP.
No, he just wants
the knockers.
He wants my knockers and my Triple G. He wants me to fill that in my plum before I give it out. I can't give it out if I don't fill it, and I agree with it. So it's coming. It's coming, Butthole. Just give us a second, man. We're getting to it right now.
Yeah, hit that like button. You'll get Chop's plums in a second. Do subscribe. Consider subscribing so you know we go live. Turn on those notifications. Do all those things. Hit all the buttons. It's all much appreciated. I know TJ was hanging out in chat promising some more Spidey bombs. And you know what? Shout out to TJ, because yesterday or the day before when he hit 3 out of 4 Spidey bombs. He's been hot. Spidey's been hot. I guess TJ takes all the credit when Spidey gets them right, and when he gets them wrong, he points right at, Spider-Man get points right at Spidey. Yeah, blame him, not me. I had nothing to do with it. I'm just a medium. But all right. Let's see. A review. Yeah, I see Kirkwood asking for the review. What else is going on here in chat that I may or may not have missed? I'm scrolling down. If you have any this guy or that guy questions, we're happy to answer those. 2v2s. Do give us details. Tell us you're playing on Fanduel. Tell us you're playing on DraftKings. Is it a cash game? Is it for tournaments? Is it a single entry tournament? Is it a large bill tournament? Is there a big prize up top? So all that kind of stuff is important when answering these questions. It makes it easier to do so. Bless says Blackburn lock button is what I'm hearing. That is not what you're hearing. I don't know who said that. It certainly wasn't me. All right. Stevie, give me some homers. I don't know what your gimmick is. It should be is it NASCAR related? Do you have a gimmick? I know the morning grind game, you play some games over there, but I never asked you this. What's your homer gimmick? You just want to give it to the people? You have a fun name for it?
We don't need no gimmicks, Dean. We make money. So that's my gimmick, making money.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, home runs for me today, I like Mickey Moniak, Kerry Carpenter to hit a home run. I know those are the two Spidey bombs. I was very high on those guys on the morning grind and expert survey. Good calls by TJ. I'm right there with him. Outside of that, I like Baltimore a lot. Gunnar Henderson is someone that I'm very heavily owned today. I think 4 out of 5, 3 out of 5. But like Baltimore, I think they're flying under the radar a little bit. Dodgers bullpen is atrocious. The young pitcher that's pitching tonight for the Dodgers, Shaheen, his advanced stats are awful. He's giving up a ton of hard contact. He's not generating a lot of whiffs outside the strike zone. So really like Baltimore, Washington as far as like low owned stacks. I think that they're two teams that are just kind of off the radar today.
Chop, you got your triple G play? Is that gonna go down? Be given to the people?
Sure, Dean. I'm feeling this one tonight. I know people are going to cry pinch hit risk, but I'm going Wilmer Flores. I don't. It'd have to be really odd circumstances. I mean, you'd have to really catch the wrong side of variance for Wilmer to get pinch hit for. So I'm going Wilmer Flores in this matchup. Assuming weather, man, because all these things have a lot of weather out there. So Wilmer Flores, triple G. And there's no BVP, Dean, just to clear. I'm not giving BVP tonight because there's just not enough. And nothing jumped off the algorithm. So
you like a three at bat sample size sometimes. There's not a 3 at bat sample size.
I've never given no. I've never given you a 3 at bat BVP play of the day, Dean. Come on, now you're just making things up.
3 for 3, 3 home runs. You wouldn't give that out? You wouldn't pounce at that opportunity?
No, I wouldn't do it. Although, did you watch the Sunday night baseball game last night?
No.
Ninth inning, Kyle Tucker facing Jaime Barrea, and they put it up on the screen. Pitcher history versus batter. Kyle Tucker, like 4 of 5 of 11 with 4 home runs, and of course, Kyle Tucker hits a 9th inning home run, 5 home runs at something crazy like that. So
and he had a big catch too, didn't he? End the game with a nice catch. I think he
did. He did in the game one night. It was a good series. Good game.
8-1? It was like 8-1 in the 8th inning or something like that. And Houston came back and won that game. You could have got some fun live odds for sure.
No, you're not even. I don't even know what realm you're in. It was never 8-1.
7-1, wasn't it? Like
7-3.
7-3.
Whatever, man. It's
not even close, Dean.
Jaime Barrea got smashed. Is the point? And he's their closer now. That's their
closer.
No.
It was.
Why was he out there?
The last couple of games were so long. Everybody used up so much bullpen. They switched the order of who had to close last night. So he came in the 9th inning because it was the bottom of the order anyway. I think it was like 6, 7, 8. So he assumed he could get through it.
Let's see. We did have. I talked about it before. I'm sure Carty will talk about it as well with us later. 59% chance pinch hit risk. Almost definitely a righty's coming in after Williamson, and it just feels like a pretty decent chance Slater gets the hook. Of course, he can lead up the game with a home run, and that's that. Who cares? Matos to a smaller degree, Schmidt to a smaller degree. And you mentioned Flores. Wilmer, unlikely to get pinch report. It could possibly happen, but he's in the single digits according to Carty. Back to questions in chat. Well, let me ask you this, Stevie. You have one lineup for a single entry contest. Who is your favorite stack?
The Angels. I like the Angels a lot. We talked about them. You're worried a little bit about like the Yankees bullpen, how good they are, but Severino has just been absolutely terrible. A lot of power, kind of underrated power in this lineup. A lot of talented young hitters now that are getting called up for the Angels, and we'll see how it kind of plans out. But I like the Angels. If I was going to stack one team today, it'd be the Angels. If I needed some value, Washington, and if I wanted low ownership, Baltimore.
Chop, same question.
I mean, I don't know what the ownership looks like on the stacks per se, but I think it's San Francisco for me still. I think the pinch hit thing scares people off a little bit, but I still think you can find plenty of stackable guys in this lineup that probably won't get pinch hit for. I think Flores is pretty safe unless – see, I'm assuming that when you get Williamson out there and you want to stack, you're going to jump out and get some runs early, okay? So that takes the edge off of the pinch hit risk for a guy like Flores, I think. So if Flores is safe, Conforto is starting against a left-hander. So I don't think they take him out of this game later on. So he said J.D. Davis doesn't usually get pinch hit for. Patrick Bailey is very nice hitting catcher. So you got that. They're not going to lift their catcher for a pinch hit. So I think you can find these guys. I think that's my favorite. Williamson's just not good. I don't think he's an MLB pitcher in the long run. And so, yeah, I think I'm going to attack that one.
Chad was asking about umpires. We have 3 games with extreme hitters, umpires, or easy to hit umpires, depending on how you look at it. Jordan Lyles, easy to hit umpire, as well as Sonny Gray, Jesus Luzardo, Shockey Logan Gilbert, Miles Michaelis, and Matt Manning. There's your umpire data. No great umpire to get hits off of for what it's worth. They're asking about the Triple G play. It's just not happening today, unfortunately.
No. Well, I did give a Triple G, Dean.
He hasn't listened up.
Oh, the Triple G went down. We did not have the BVP.
No BVP. I give you some knockers though, Dean. But also, Dean, man, that led me to another. I was gonna reference this earlier, but I kind of forgot. Yeah. Another one on Prize Picks. If you're into that, Griffin Canning, and one of the reasons I like him is because of what we talked about just a minute ago. That pin is just. It's so dusted right now from that last series they played. He's going to get as long of a leash as he possibly can to work as much. Like you can get him 17 and a half outs on Prize Picks. They got to get him through the 6th inning at least. And it's not a formidable lineup. I like Griffin Canning in DFS, but I like him on Prize Picks too with some of those numbers. Let me give you some.
I like that call.
Let me give you some knockers, Dean, and hopefully the weather holds up for us. The knockers need to be a pair of guys in the same lineup. Of course. I got to go Rosario Ramirez. They just happen to be batting back-to-back and make for a nice mini stack, but I don't think Priester is – I don't think Priester's all that good. I think I'm going to go Rosario Ramirez. A couple knockers for you, Dean.
Stevie, go Sixers, go. FanDuel, single-entry pitcher. Who's your favorite single-entry pitcher on FanDuel?
Luzardo.
All right. More questions kind of streaming on through.
Is that the Go Sixers Go?
I don't know. It just says Go Sixers Go. I don't know if it's the official Go Sixers Go, but it's a Go Sixers Go.
Interesting.
Chop, a question for you here. We got Brian wants to know. Oh, he's actually, you know what? He's specifically asking Stevie. So Stevie, how are you feeling about a Washington stack on FanDuel for tournaments?
Yeah, I answered his question when I was talking about stacks, but yeah, I like Washington. I don't know. I'm not playing on FanDuel. I'm only playing on DraftKings tonight. But looking at it, Lane Thomas would be my favorite, and then Meneses. And then Stone Garrett. So I'd build around those 3 and kind of decide who your 4th is. CJ Abrams is leading off, so I don't hate that. Lefty, he'll have low ownership. But I would build around Thomas, Meneses, and Garrett if I'm stacking Washington tonight.
Jose's asking about Williamson and Cash. Williamson and Cash, even if it was sunny, there's no chance you're playing Williamson and Cash. There's also weather issues. No. I assume you guys agree. There's no chance, no planet you're playing Williamson and Cash. I don't care how cheap he is. You don't do that. Jamie's asking, Chop, I realize Lyles is awful, but am I crazy for fading Detroit chalk outside of Carpenter? I mean, no, right? I like Detroit tonight, but Detroit's not a great lineup. And if they're going to be kind of popular, no issues fading Detroit in a lineup. I assume you feel the same way, Chop?
Yeah, I've got no issues. In fact, when I first started to dig into it earlier, I was like, man, can I play Jordan Lyles? Because I didn't really like very much on the slate pitching wise. And then I talked myself out of it, but you can definitely fade. Yeah, you can get away from Detroit if you want to and take a shot that way. They're just not particularly good.
All right, De La Cruz is batting number 1 today for Cincinnati. That's kind of excited. That's sexy for sure. I don't really like the matchup, and the weather, of course, is kind of dicey. I'll tell you what, though, if the weather knocks Webb out, right? Webb's a pitcher I don't really want to pick on. He's a good pitcher. All those ground balls, hard to hit homers against him. But
that's Dean. That's the thing. He's a ground ball pitcher. Ellie De La Cruz can beat out ground balls anyway. And once he gets on first base, man, we've seen too many videos now of this guy.
He's fun.
He can legitimately beat out routine ground balls and turn them into singles. And once he gets on first, man, you can get you 2 stolen bases real quick. And then the weather hits. Yeah, De La Cruz is awesome. I like him tonight, even against
He's
Webb.
expensive.
Yeah,
He also strikes out a lot too.
There's a lot of guys who are expensive. The salaries are rather outrageous for hitters on this slate, or actually most nights nowadays. A lot of guys up over 6K. We used to not get a bunch of 6K hitters. For some reason, we're pumping out a bunch of 6K hitters these days.
Acuna's going to be 7K soon. Like he probably should be. Do we have a Pittsburgh lineup yet or no? I don't think so, right? Still waiting for the Pirates. I guess they're waiting on the rain, like you said, Chop, or if it shows up or not. No Pirates, and I believe we got everything else but the Yankees, right? Every other lineup is in. A lot of cheap stuff too. A lot of cheap catchers. Soderstrom is still really, really cheap for the A's. You know, we're waiting for him to have a breakout game. He did over the weekend. I missed it. My apologies. The other rookie, Geloff, is actually leading off. Oakland is super, super cheap. Don't really like bullpen games. Don't really like Oakland as a general thought, but just there are some salary savers there. Pittsburgh presumably should have Rodriguez, the rookie, starting for them. I believe he's 2K on DK, 2K and 2.5 on Fanduel. More useful DK. I'm assuming he's going to grab that spot. He's one of their bigger prospects. You know, a bullpen game there on the Cleveland side. What have we not really focused on? Is there anything we've missed? I'm trying to think as the crunch time crew will be coming in momentarily. But Chop, is there a team? Is there a player that you're afraid of? For whatever reason, you just can't get to enough of them. You're less in the field. Like you're most afraid of not having enough of who or what?
Not really. I mean, like, you know, anybody can win a tournament, you know, with their bat, a 2 home run game or thing, and you just never would have got to them. Like at $6,600, how much Shohei can I have tonight? I mean, golly, it's a great matchup, but it's so expensive that, you know, I'm going to end up fading him quite a bit, probably be underweight compared to the field on a guy like that. And, you know, who's to say he doesn't hit 2 or 3 home runs and ruin your whole slate by being underweight on him? Or same could be said for Mookie Betts, who's kind of warm right now, and Corey Seager, who's, if it wasn't for Shohei, would be the American League MVP. So,
he's been awesome.
You know, all those guys, I'm probably be underweight on all those guys that are $6,000 or more on DraftKings, and any one of them can absolutely spoil your whole night.
Yeah, nobody's playing Seager left on left versus McClanahan, but he might only get 2 at-bats versus McClanahan because a bit of a leash there for Shane. So certainly interesting if you're running about 150 or something like that. Stevie, same question for you. And also, I see the Crunch Time Cruise here, but Tequila Mike has joined the show late, apparently. He wants to know what happened to Pivetta. We have a lot of clarity on that. I'm sure you could shine a light on what happened to Pivetta.
Yeah, Pivetta, we don't know if he's pitching or not. Who knows? Boston knows, but they're not telling anybody. He might pitch today, he might pitch tomorrow, was the report. So really tough to play him now with the opener situation. The guy, I'm really underweight on Detroit, which is weird because it's weird that they're projected as one of the highest offenses projected ownership wise. I get it. It's Jordan Lyles, but I mean, they're still the worst offense in baseball. So it's really hard for me to get overweight on them with their ownership. And then Jose Ramirez, I hope he doesn't have a big game. I don't have any Jose Ramirez tonight on my 5 lineup builds. So hopefully he's in a great spot, but hopefully he keeps it in the ballpark tonight, because if he hits 2, it's going to be an early night for me.
Not sure how much time we have for pleasantries. The people are going to want weather for sure. We're getting cheap meteorologist Kevin Roth. Roth, how are things? How was your weekend? How is our forecast looking? You guys don't give it to us just yet, but a little bit of a tease. The people want to know about Cincinnati and a couple other spots.
Yeah, I feel locked in, Dean. Like, you ever just feel like the plays that you have can't miss? That's how I feel with this weather forecast.
Wow. You know what, Roth? You've been like locked in, I think, all season long. I feel like, and not to bush you or anything, I feel like you haven't missed this entire.
Thank you. I don't know what the hell that was.
Is that a whammy? What was that? What was that sound effect? Whose phone was that? Me. Somebody fess up.
I think that's Carty's. Carty's phone has all kinds of goofy like noises and Zelda things.
He didn't want to admit that, but it's Carty.
It's mine. I leave it on sometimes in case there's a problem with the bat. I want to make sure I hear the notification that comes in. But yeah, it's all sorts of Mario sounds.
Boring.
Can you give me the Mario is entering a warp zone sound? If I just say that, Carty, you know the sound? Can you do it offhand?
Like where he goes through the pipe, like brr, brr, brr.
That's what I wanted. Da-na-na-na-na-na. Which one is that? Da-na-na-na-na-na. What is that?
Like
What's
a
happening there?
background noise kind of in one of the.
That's if you go to the underground world, right?
Yeah. Yep.
The important stuff for sure.
Come on.
Stevie, Chop, you got anything here for the boys before we step aside and yield for crunch time?
No, good show. Had fun. Chop, always good to see you, my friend. Dean, I'll see you in a couple weeks. I'm sure we do a lot of Monday shows together, and it's all. I see you all the time. I don't do shows with Chop very often, so I can't really see you. You're like very dark, very red, so I didn't know if it was actually you. But yeah, fun show. Thanks for hanging out.
That's Stevie. That was Chop. I was Dean. We're going to yield for crunch time. You got Chief Meteorologist Kevin Roth. You have TastefulTides Tim. You have DerekCarty and Wario. Take it away there, Roth.
Good stuff as always. Hey, welcome to it, ladies and gentlemen. This is indeed Crunch Time. This show is sponsored by Fanduel, by the way. Big shout out to our sponsor. And it's the show we bring on two of the sharpest minds in the biz. We got one, DerekCarty, Mr. Mario himself. I prefer the Zelda ringtones that you have, but we'll take the Mario. Carty, how are you?
I'm doing well. I mean, no issues with Zelda, but just Mario for the most. There's a couple Zeldas on there, but
I've heard the opening a treasure box or something in Zelda. I've heard some going on there.
Yeah.
Hey, we're happy to have you. How you feeling about the slate?
It's kind of one of those slates where like you don't really like anyone at pitcher, maybe one guy, and it's one of those slates where on offense, like nothing is great and lots of stuff is fine, but nothing's going to be chalk, so that kind of makes it interesting.
Okay, certainly fun for tournaments. We got TastefulTides, Tim in the house as well. What's up, man? How are you?
Pretty good. Yeah, I've been playing video games, pretty much my whole life, and I never ever played Zelda. You need to get on that.
Not a single Zelda of like the 30 Zeldas.
Not a single Zelda in my entire life that I play.
Missing out.
And I played a lot of video games.
How's that even possible?
I don't know. Isn't it true that it's not a multiplayer game?
Yes,
no, it's not.
Right,
yeah, it's single player, but
single
player games are great.
That's probably why I only played like shooter games and stuff like that with like other people. So, or like Madden games. So that's
sports games are the worst. Like I love sports and I love games, but sports games suck so bad. Like I cannot stand them.
I love Madden.
Oof, yeah, I can't deal with that. By the way, not to brag, I was a top 100 ranked Halo player in the world at one point. So
were you really? That's actually pretty impressive because Halo was like huge. There were a lot of Halo players.
That only lasted for like a week, but it happened. It happened briefly. I made it up into like the 80s at some point. But hey, people are not here for video game talk. They are here for some DFS talk, and hopefully there's some folks here for the weather as well. Let's dive into that. I told Dean I feel locked in. Here's what's going on. I think there's a pretty good chance that they're going to late start in Pittsburgh for like some light rain that's moving in now. I'm not that concerned if they announce a late start. It's light rain. They could just decide we're going to play through it regardless. Either way, late start or no, I think that game is going to play. I would not fade Pittsburgh in any scenario. V. Scott says, I believe Roth was a top 100 Halo player. Like I believe he's the best basketball player at RG. Both of those things are incredibly true. So both of those things are undeniable and true. And then the other game that people are concerned with is in Cincinnati. Here are my thoughts in Cincinnati. I do think there's going to be a delay. Carty, is it right? People want pitchers in that game?
Do people want pitch? I mean, I guess there's one guy that you probably want, but it's not like you have to.
Is it Webb? I've heard like
it's
20
Webb,
people
and it's Webb, and he's more of a GPP guy. Like I'm probably not playing him in cash. So
it's so hard to take you seriously with that in the background.
Let me see if I can turn it down at least. It's just I hate if there's like an issue and I don't hear about it like leading right up to lock. And
I get you. It's good. It's fine.
What about bats Roth in that game?
In what in the Pittsburgh game?
Cincinnati.
So I actually think that both pitchers and bats are probably going to work out. Like the way that I see it is that the pop-ups that are around now most likely miss. If one of those again goes over the stadium, then it could be more trouble. Main line of storms moves in the latter half of the game, and it doesn't last forever. So I think they start on time. They get 5, 6, 7 innings in, whatever it is. Then they get a delay. Then they come back out like 2 hours later and finish the game. That's what I think is the likely outcome. Does that work? And I can't promise that, to be clear, because A, they could just throw in the towel instead of waiting 2 minutes, or if they've got their 7 and however many innings, whatever the hell complete. If the game's already completed, maybe they don't finish it. Right. The other possibility is that one of those little pop-ups goes up, and then that throws the whole forecast out the window. But I think it probably works out. So.
See, I'm not interested in web even in tournaments, so I don't really care about the pitchers, but I am interested in the Giants bats, even though they kind of have some weird kind of pinch hit risk. But I think they're in a really, really great spot.
They are.
So I'd like to be able to get obviously 9 innings out of them, but that kind of I know we're getting kind of ahead of it, but I think that the Giants bats are in a great tournament spot, and I'll let Carty talk about them in cash for sure.
Well, I've got no issue with it in tournaments whatsoever. If it's a cash play and you've got some other pivot that you feel is equal, then sure, like by all means, avoid the game where, like literally the only game where things could truly go wrong. But I think for tournaments, you go ahead and do it. That's pretty much it as far as weather goes. Those are the only 2 games that are really worth talking about. So I think I will kind of yield there. I saw a comment. I'm trying to go find it here. Brian C. said, Roth has been comeback player of the year for RotoGrinders. His last year was iffy, but this year he's on point. It's the same process, man. It's process over results. Sometimes it works out great. Sometimes it doesn't, but I promise you it's the same process, same effort every single day, every 7 days a week. Let's dive into this content here. Carty, you want to tell me a little bit about this slate or just talk about some pitchers?
Yeah, I mean, we can't kind of ran it down before, so let's just get into pitchers, I think.
Yeah, I like it. Let's do it.
So, like I said earlier, this slate is pretty garbage for pitching. Logan Gilbert is, if there's an exception, he's the exception. He's clearly the top guy tonight. He's going to be super chalky on both sites. You're definitely playing him in cash games. In tournaments, you don't have to play him because really people are just going to gravitate to him because like he's good. He's in a good matchup. And everyone else kind of is terrible. But I mean, the bat's projecting almost 60% ownership on DraftKings, 36 on Fanduel. So like this guy's going to be owned. Mm-hmm. And it's not like he's like a sure thing or anything. Like you play him in cash for sure, but in GPPs, if you want to play 2 totally different guys, like go ahead. In terms of the guys who I like who aren't Logan Gilbert, Mackenzie Gore is a guy that I have a good amount of interest in. He's 7.9 on DraftKings. On FanDuel, he's more expensive. I probably don't like him quite as much over there, but at that depressed price on DK against the Cubs, I'm very much about that. Decent weather there. Nothing really concerning. And so I like Gore. I think Griffin Canning against the Yankees is fine at 8.2K. I think Drew Smyly at 7.7 is fine on DK. You can go down and play Dane Dunning against the Rays if you want to. Like it's the kind of slate where he's not a terrible play for how cheap he is against an offense that's going to have some ownership. If you want to spend up a little bit, you have the Logan Webb thing in Great American. You have Sonny Gray against Seattle. I mean, McClanahan, I'm probably not touching on this slate. You can, but I'm not convinced he's going to have a full leash. The matchup isn't great. The price is high. You're probably not going to get like a significant ownership discount on him. So even though he's like the biggest name on this slate, I don't think I have a lot of interest in him. And that's kind of it. On FanDuel, Luis Severino at 7K is interesting enough at his price, and he's been terrible, so no one's going to play him. So like in a GPP setting, if you want to take a shot on him, like you can. Otherwise, you're not really getting much of a discount on anyone on FanDuel. Like the Sonny Gray, the Griffin Canning, the Gore, they're all kind of right in the same price range. So just mix those guys up basically, and any of them are going to be fine in GPP.
All right, Carty, I was looking at weather, so I hate to admit I had tuned you out a little bit, but we did get a question. Any interest in Luzardo?
Yeah, I didn't mention.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Tim. Do you want to talk about him?
Well, yeah, that was the guy that you hadn't mentioned that I absolutely love, especially on FanDuel, but also on DraftKings. Like on FanDuel, we have him at 3.5% owned. Like I totally agree with Carty. Gilbert is by far the quote unquote better play, and it's not particularly close. But if that ownership gap is going to be that high on a single pitcher site, I absolutely love Luzardo. I think he's got. I mean, it's not an amazing matchup by any means, but he has shown an elite strikeout upside this season, and he was the only. Like I thought, Carty covered everything perfectly. That was the only thing I wanted to say was that he's 14% on DraftKings. He's 4% on FanDuel. I don't think Gilbert is so far and away the clear. I mean, he is the clear guy in cash games, but I don't think like he's like far and away the clear guy in GPPs. So for me, like he would have been the next guy I mentioned. I completely agree with Carty. I love Mackenzie Gore. I also like Mackenzie Gore on FanDuel at 8% owned, even though he's more expensive over there.
Yep.
So, but Luzardo to me, I think is probably my top tournament play, at least on FanDuel at sub 5% ownership.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Well, that was the only name that got brought up that we didn't really talk about. John says, Tim, who is your SP2 in DK Cash? So I assume you're going Gilbert SP1, and then where do you go from there?
Well, full disclosure, we have like the top, projection guy for cash games, DerekCarty on the show. I mean, I would say that Mackenzie Gore is my SP2, but I would defer to Carty for cash games. I mean, he is the guy you should be asking.
Yeah, I think Gore's the guy for me. I don't think he's the only guy you can play in cash. Like there are other viable choices, but Gore's the one I like most.
Okay. Very good. I feel like we've done a good job covering pitcher. We got to talk some stacks. First, though, I mentioned the show sponsored by FanDuel. Make sure you're signing up for the FanDuel Sportsbook if you're in a legal sports betting state. Take advantage of their awesome bonus offer. New customers can bet $5 and get $100 in bonus bets. Terms and conditions do apply. And hit us with a little thumbs up. The show is free. So hit us with a thumbs up. Hit FanDuel with a thumbs up. We certainly appreciate it. We want to keep those eyeballs on this stream so we can keep this show free for you. So your thumbs up is actually for you in a way. Let's talk some stacks here. And Tim, I'll let you lead us off. What are we looking for here stack wise?
Stacks are super weird tonight. I don't think there's going to be like a clear, overwhelming like chalk. I have a lot of interest. Like, I know it sounds weird, but I have a lot of interest in the Tigers tonight just because I don't have a lot of interest in the very, very cheap pitchers. So I have to save money somewhere. So lineup construction kind of leads me to these really, really gross, cheap Tigers bats against Jordan Lyles, who is an absolutely terrible pitcher. Tigers are not a very good offense. So if you don't want to go that angle, I certainly can't fault you. On the high end, for some more expensive stacks, I like the Dodgers quite a bit. And then I think the Angels are super interesting against Luis Severino. We have guys like Ohtani, who I don't think are going to be, I mean, he's going to be owned, but I don't think any one particular player or stack is going to get like super steam tonight. Mm-hmm. So I think that there are some cheap options on the Angels plus Ohtani so that they're very, very stackable. And then how we led the show. I think the Giants are a really good stack, but I think that they can be tricky to stack because I'm sure Derek can speak to the pinch hit risk, especially for guys like Austin Slater, which I'm sure it's a massive pinch hit risk. But I think the matchup is spectacular. So I think the Giants are in a really good spot. I think Chot mentioned on the previous show guys like Wilmer Flores. I think JD Davis is a really good play. So I think on the low end, Detroit is like a great value. And then the high end for me, it would be the Dodgers. And I also love the Angels and Giants.
Okay. That was kind of a lot of teams there, but I'm all about that. Carty, you got some names that you want to throw out? You in full agreement? You got some different teams. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm in pretty close agreement here. Like, I think especially because the cheaper pitchers really aren't awesome tonight. Like the Detroit Tigers, the bat has the Tigers projected as the best stack, just like straight up. And so they're cheap, and the bat doesn't really think any team is going to carry a lot of ownership tonight. So you don't have to do anything weird. But the thing with the Tigers is they're not weird because they project well anyway. So like the Tigers, the Royals as another cheap team that also projects really well, just straight up, and the Giants and the Nationals. I think all three of those teams are very much in play here. I think you're going to see a decent amount of ownership. He's not going to be like chalk, but I think you'll probably see a little bit of ownership on Gore. So I don't hate a stack against him with the Cubs. It's not like my favorite thing, but I think they're definitely viable. They project well enough against him. And if I'm spending up, my preferred one is probably the Rays. But I don't know if you have to do that tonight. You know, if you're building a bunch of different stacks, you know, have some Rays stacks. But you know, they're you know, the Tigers, the Giants, they're every bit as good as the Rays anyway tonight.
I think this is a interesting comment here from Alex, who says ownership is a cost. The Tigers are expensive, meaning that are they chalk, or is there a chalk today, or is it kind of spread out?
So I think it depends, on how you're projecting the ownership out. On FanDuel, they do project as the chalkiest team according to the bat, at least, but not like by a massive amount. On DK, it's even more spread out projected than it is on FanDuel. We never know for sure where the ownership's going to go, especially if everyone winds up coming on shows and touting the Tigers, like they're going to pick up some ownership. But I'm not overly concerned about it at the moment.
Tim, you kind of go for it.
Yeah, so I agree. I agree with what Derek said. I really appreciate that comment by that user. That does make a lot of sense. Very interesting comment. Certainly don't disagree with it. I think the Tigers are going to be popular, but I don't think they're necessarily going to be over-owned. And I think that's an important distinction. I don't think that they're going to be so high-owned that, you know, you're going to get them in a really, really like negative leverage spot. And that's kind of like the macro stance of saying, hey, there's still a good play. I think that the Angels are going to be somewhat popular, and I'm really kind of curious and kind of confused by the Giants ownership. The Giants are going to be owned, but we have weather concerns that you've discussed that may bring that ownership down, might scare some people away, especially, well, maybe even in high dollar stuff or low dollar stuff, either way. For me, that would make me want to increase my exposure a little bit to them if I think that people are going to shy away because they're worried about pinch hit risk or weather.
Yeah. Okay. I did kind of skip one thing because I didn't think it was important in weather, but it turns out because of who's pitching there, it is. In St. Louis, there is a non-zero chance of like a pop-up causing a delay. I don't think it's going to happen, and I didn't mention it because of that. But now that I realize Luzardo is in that game, I will at least mention it. I don't think it's a high enough probability that you should do anything about it. And I think if it does happen, it would probably be pregame and we'd get a late start. So yes, there's a chance of a delay in St. Louis. Someone mentioned there's a severe thunderstorm watch there, but it's just the probability. There are no forecast models that pop a storm over St. Louis. I'll just leave it at that. But I do understand it's not out of the realm of possibility. We got to talk about some of the bats here, kind of position by position. We like to go around the horn. Carty, we got oodles of time. You want to talk to us about some catchers here?
Sure. So, catcher tonight. I think it's the guy that I think I like the most is Wilson Contreras, even though he's against Jose Luzardo, in large part just because at 4.3K, he's better than that. You know, we have these other high-end catchers priced in the fives. We have Will Smith at 5.5. We have Adley Rutschman at 5.1. And Contreras is every bit as good as those guys, and he's like $1,000 cheaper. Like, yeah, he's facing Luzardo, so he's got the toughest matchup out of all of them. But he does have the platoon advantage. He does have a good weather situation working for him. It's one of only 3 games over 80 degrees here, a little bit of wind blowing out. And so I don't mind playing him. If you want to just save money at catcher, that's also totally viable. You can go down to Patrick Bailey for the Giants, but you'll have a little bit of pinch hit risk. You can go down to Freddie Furman for the Royals at 2.9K, batting cleanup against Matt Manning. I think he's the guy I would go down to if I'm not spending up for Contreras. But I don't think Contreras is necessarily that hard to get to. So that's kind of what I'm thinking with catcher.
Very good. Tim, what are your thoughts?
Catcher's pretty much an only in, kind of like a only in stacks kind of guy position, other than maybe Will Smith, other than maybe one off if you can do that. There's a guy by the name of Endy Rodriguez for the Pirates. I think sometimes people like to really, really punt catcher. That might be more of just a cash game play. But I'm by no means like that high on the Pirates, but I think sometimes getting a min-price player could be interesting in any kind of format.
Very good. How about first base, Tim?
Yeah, so Ohtani is clearly the top guy, and I think that's really, really easy to get to in any kind of format. He's 6,600 on DraftKings, so I still think that you can get to him pretty easily. Wilmer Flores, I think, would be my next favorite guy.
You're not allowed to say his name without preceding it with noted lefty masher Wilmer Flores.
Oh, I didn't see.
Yes.
I don't know any of the lefty matchers because I don't partake.
You don't believe
in
in nonsense. No, I get it.
I guess
Carty
I
gets
don't.
pinged. Yeah, if
Oh,
one of them
yeah,
hits a home run against a lefty, Carty
I
hears
didn't
it from
hear
9,000.
I didn't hear the Mario alert, so I wasn't sure what I was supposed to do. So yeah, but so I really, I'm pretty high on the Giants. I love Flores quite a bit. Freddie Freeman. I'm trying to find a way to play, Gore and Gilbert and stack Dodgers. It's pretty hard to do, but that's kind of what I'm trying to do. So Freddie Freeman, I think, would be an interesting pivot away from Ohtani, who's going to be, I think, a lot higher owned. So those would be my 3 favorite guys.
Okay. Carty, I saw as soon as he mentioned Ohtani, you were just nodding in agreement. The price is up there, but you don't care.
Yeah. I've been a Severino fan for a long time. When he's healthy and right, his stuff is so good, but he's just not this year. Ohtani is Ohtani, and as expensive as he is, I think you can get him on this slate. So I like it a lot. If you want to save money, though, completely agree. Noted lefty masher Wilmer Flores in there against the lefty tonight. That's the only reason I like him. It has nothing to do with facing a terrible pitcher in an amazing ballpark with nearly 80-degree temperatures and nearly double-digit winds blowing out. It's got nothing to do with any of that. It's just about him being a lefty masher. Oh, and the price. I don't even care about the price that he's really cheap either. So noted lefty masher Wilmer Flores, awesome way to save money. Spencer Torkelson, as we like to say sometimes. I like tonight in those Detroit stacks as a one-off, even in cash. I think he's interesting. On FanDuel, he's catcher outfield eligible, but MJ Melendez I think is one of the better options at that catcher first base spot, and he's 2.7 against Matt Manning. And he's hitting third, and he's just good. So wherever you decide you want to play him, he's a really good play.
Okay, excellent.
The only other guy I'd mention real quick is I kind of like the Nats a little bit. So Joey Meneses, I think, is interesting for tournaments. But I just want to throw him in there real quick. Sorry.
Okay, no, that's fair. All right, Carty, what are your thoughts at second base?
So Mookie Betts is your top guy, but he's expensive and he's not the top by enough where you have to get up to him. Certainly if you're stacking him, certainly as a one-off, he's great. On FanDuel, you have noted lefty masher Wilmer Flores eligible at second base as well. This is maybe the spot you prefer to play him at because second base is always so terrible. So I like him quite a bit. On DK, where you don't have him, I think Gleyber Torres, assuming he's, in the I don't think we have a Yankees lineup yet, but he should be in there somewhere hitting first or somewhere in the top third of the order. So I like Gleyber. I like Brandon Lau quite a bit. Tampa Bay is one of the more expensive good stacks today, but Lau himself is not overly expensive. So I like him quite a bit at a really shallow position. I like Andres Jimenez as a way to save a little bit of money. And then over on FanDuel, Zach McKinstry at 2.4K hitting leadoff against Jordan Lyles. You got to like him a lot.
Okay, very good. Tim, what do you like at second?
Yeah, Mookie Betts is my top guy. I'm playing him whether I can fully stack the Dodgers or not. He's kind of like my big spend. Brandon Lau on both sites is a great play. Second base is it's really bad. It's nobody that it's like nobody that I really want to play. I totally agree with Carty. Like if you're playing cash on FanDuel, Zach McKinstry, Wilmer Flores, noted lefty masher, excuse me, is totally fine also. I think
I got your back, I'm looking out for you. I'm making sure that they put respect on the name of the lefty mashers.
Yeah, and then I think that like a different way to get different with like a Detroit stack is like a guy like Andy Ibanez, maybe. I think it's not the best play, but I think he may be like a forgotten guy on kind of a popular value stack.
Very good. Third base.
Yeah, so Jose Ramirez is the top third baseman. Just the way that I'm building my single entry team, I don't think I can actually play him as much as I want to play him, and I think that he's a great play. Same kind of goes for Gunnar Henderson. Again, great play. I think the Orioles are in a really, really good spot today. I didn't even mention them in my top 3 or 4 stacks, but they could easily be part of that conversation. Zach McKinstry is third base eligible on DraftKings. He's a really, really good value play. Noted lefty masher Wilmer Flores is third base eligible on DraftKings. He is an exceptional play also. Max Muncy. He's pretty expensive on FanDuel at 3,800, but I think that'll just keep his ownership down. He's, I think, more, he's reasonably priced on DraftKings at 4,600. I love him for tournaments.
Excellent. All right, Carty, your thoughts at third.
A lot of the same guys. Noted lefty masher Wilmer Flores, I think is best positioned second on FanDuel, but it's third on DK. So I think that's what you do. Gunnar Henderson, we should note, is way cheaper on FanDuel, so he's a much better play there. I really like him a lot over there. Did you mention JD Davis or just Flores? Because Davis in the same lineup is, especially on FanDuel at 2.9, is going to be a really good play tonight.
Yeah.
Okay. Then that brings us to short.
Bobby Witt, I mentioned liking the Royals, not just as like a cheap stack tonight, but also just because they're in a really good spot and they project really well overall. On FanDuel, Bobby Witt is always like a little bit too cheap. He's 3.3 tonight. On DK, you have to spend up a little more, but at 4.6, it's not like he's crazy expensive, and he's easily the top option tonight. We have some other name guys on the slate like Corey Seager, but we do also kind of have a lot of the best shortstops like not really here tonight. And so Witt is, I just think, the clear guy. Seager's against a good lefty in McClanahan, and he's expensive. You can take your shot in a tournament if you want, but he's not a guy that I have a lot of interest in. I think at low ownership, you can definitely do it. But I like Witt more overall. I like Franco in your Tampa Bay stacks. I like Gunnar Henderson on both sites where he's shortstop eligible. CJ Abrams is probably the cheap guy on DK if you need one. He's leading off for Washington tonight. He's against Drew Smyly. Even on FanDuel at 2.8, like he's cheap enough, but you also kind of have Witt and Henderson not much more expensive, so I prefer them. But that's shortstop tonight.
Tim, your thoughts at short?
Yeah, all the same guys that Carty mentioned. I am punting with CJ Abrams in my single entry GPP team. That's the route that I'm going. Certainly doesn't have to be the route that everyone else goes. Is Nato leading off? Zach Nato? Yeah, I think he's like being another kind of interesting value shortstop. I think Rosario is 2,900 on FanDuel. I think he would be a decent play. Carlos Correa. So there's definitely like a lot of these cheapish kind of options on FanDuel. And then, but like I said, I'm going Abrams both sites.
Okay. That brings us to the outfield. Tim, you get to lead us off there.
Yeah, so it's pretty tough. Like it really depends on like what you want to do like with your stacks and tournaments, because outfield is always very, very loaded. Like we don't have Acuna, like we don't have like all the big names, but if you're not playing Ohtani at first, then you're definitely playing him in the outfield. You know, we got guys like Riley Green that are projecting really, really well. I personally think he's a little too expensive on DraftKings, but Derek is going to disagree with me on that, I'm sure. So
I mean, it's wild, but that has Riley Green projected as the second best outfielder.
I know. I thought that was a little extreme, but hey, yeah. I mean, I'm not arguing with you. It's just like I'm not doing that. But he can hit 3 home runs. I'll lose. That's fine. You know, I think that MJ Melendez, which is someone that I would agree with Derek on, is an absolutely amazing value at 2,700. That's like a really, really cheap price tag. I love that play today. I considered it just playing him as a one-off because I kind of needed somebody in that price area. Michael Conforto, we've talked about the Giants. We really like the Giants tonight. I think he's reasonably priced at 3,600 on DraftKings. Yeah, so I you know there's a lot of different ways that you can go. I think it heavily depends for GPPs at least about who your primary stacks are.
All right, Carty, what do you like in the outfield?
Honestly, a lot of the same type of thing. You know, I mean, I do really like Riley Green tonight because the bat really likes Riley Green tonight. You know, I mentioned the Tigers are my favorite team, and Riley Green is hitting second and is one of the better hitters, which, you know, normally isn't saying a lot, but tonight it's saying something because we like Detroit. So I like Riley Green, and in the same lineup, I like Harry Carpenter. I like Melendez quite a bit as well, and I also like in that same lineup Kyle Isbell for 2.2 on DK. And then you're kind of like, I feel like there's a lot of good plays tonight if you're hunting for homers. Like Giancarlo Stanton, I think, is going to be a great bet for a homer tonight. Jorge Soler is one of the top options tonight for GPPs. Seiya Suzuki on FanDuel at 2.7, I think, is just kind of too cheap, so I like him quite a bit. But yeah, that's I think that's outfield. Oh, Randy Arozarena has a one offer in your Tampa Bay stacks too.
How are you rating Washington tonight there? Like guys like Lane Thomas, Alex Call, Stone Garrett, those kind of guys.
So I like them. I don't like them as much as I like the Tigers, Royals, Giants guys, but they're not far behind them. So like in tournaments, I like them a lot. I like them as a stack quite a bit.
Yeah, I do too.
Guys, I got a weather question in from Brian Flores. Says, Roth, any weather concerns in Kansas City? And my initial thought was no, because as of an hour ago, there were none. But I just checked back on the latest forecast models, and now they're starting to pop a storm south of Kansas City. Again, it's unlikely, like St. Louis, it's unlikely that it goes over the ballpark. But I can't rule out a delay in Kansas City. So just kind of throwing that in there. I don't expect it, but wouldn't shock me. Ryan says, late start official. I assume and hope we're talking about Pittsburgh in that. Has anyone seen?
I've seen nothing.
Let's see.
I haven't seen anything yet either.
Let me pull up Pittsburgh. Yep. All right. Excellent. Tonight's game will begin in a brief delay. Again, there was light rain. I mentioned off the top of the show. I expected they would have a late start there. So that is not surprising, and that is not a concern, the late start in Pittsburgh. So just stick with it. Do whatever you were going to do in Pittsburgh anyways. All right, let's get some home run picks here. I've got a hot take. Shohei Ohtani hits 2 bombs, not one. He hits 2 bombs tonight. What are the odds, Carty? Do you know how to look up such a thing? Because I tried Googling it and I failed. I was just like, Google odds Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah, I could probably. It would take me like probably 2 to 3 minutes to calculate it. I could.
That's way too long. That's way too long. It's fine.
Yeah, that's what I'm figuring.
He hits 2 bombs tonight. He's hot, and I think this pitcher sucks from what I've gathered, and he's amazing, and he's going to hit 2 bombs. Carty, who you got for a home run pick tonight?
Top guy overall tonight for DFS purposes is Stanton. Obviously, Ohtani's right up there. Jorge Soler. Those are the main ones. But noted lefty masher Wilmer Flores, he does crack the top 5 for the bat tonight. So keep note of that. And then if we're talking about betting in terms of just like pure value, well, look at that. Jorge Soler plus 475 best value tonight. That's pretty nuts. You don't usually see like a big time power guy getting inefficient odds. So that's cool to see.
Very good. All right, Tim, you got some home run picks for me?
I like Lane Thomas at plus 470 on Fanduel. I think that would be my guy. I bet he's pretty. How does he rank with your metrics, Carty?
Sorry, who's that?
Lane Thomas.
Your boy Lane.
Plus 470.
Let me take a quick look. I don't have him on here for some reason. Maybe I didn't reload it. But yeah, I mean, I like that spot in general. So plus 470.
Yeah.
It's probably not bad for him.
Okay. Let's see.
Oh, that's why I have it. Okay, hold on. Okay, so yeah, he shows a little bit of value.
Okay. TJ says, by the way, Ohtani is plus 1,700 to hit 2 home runs on my site. I'm not sure. Plus 2,100 on FanDuel. These, I mean, I'm just saying he's going to hit 2 bombs. In my opinion, again, I am not a sports bettor, to be clear. I am a weatherman who has a Shohei Ohtani man crush. So just note that for what it's worth. Guys, we've got about 10 minutes for some QQs. This is where you got to come hang out in the RG Discord. I will take some questions on the YouTube, but I'm starting with the Discord. We've really made a concentrated effort lately to hang out in the Discord, be there in the Discord. So make sure you're signing up for the RotoGrinders Discord, and you can just get help from RotoGrinders professionals almost whenever you want. We really try to make a good effort to be there. So make sure that you sign up. And Steve is going to drop a link in the chat. I think. I don't know. Put him on the spot. We'll see if he can make it happen. Let's see what we got here. Tides, DK, single entry. Your very favorite stack in a single entry.
I'm going Dodgers.
Okay. Carty, you got a favorite stack if you're doing a DK single entry?
It's probably the Tigers, honestly. Unless they really just get steamed from people talking about them. And if you think that's going to be the case, then do the Royals.
Okay. Is Pivetta a great play today?
No. Pivetta may not even play today, but that will potentially make him sneaky if he does. And it's a pretty good spot if he does.
Okay. Do either of you have interest in trying that in a tournament? Just like hoping a dude plays, or is that insane?
Honestly,
I'm trying to think like if I made 150, maybe I'd put him in like 3. But like I don't even know if I'd do that because that whole situation seems super sketchy. He was in like a really good spot. Like he was projected for like 75 pitches earlier, and then the manager was like, "No, we're gonna have an opener. He might pitch tomorrow." So like I don't think anyone really knows. So I hate to recommend somebody that might not even play, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
The other thing to
kind
note
of a
with
slate
Pivetta is that since they've kind of shifted him to like this bullpen, he's going to come in long relief and pitch a few innings role. Mm-hmm. His leash has been a lot shorter. He's only averaged like 65 pitches over kind of 3, mostly 3 starts like that.
And he's not cheap. He's 7,200, I think, is what I saw earlier. Like he's not free. So
yeah.
Okay. All right, Carty, we got a pinch hit question. Baltimore CLT Go Blue says, Carty, last piece in a Baltimore stack, DK GPP. Does Hicks or Cowser have the higher pinch hit risk? I'm thinking Hayes may supplant one of them.
Cowser is 3%, it looks like. And who was the other guy?
Hicks.
Hicks is 10%. So, I mean, it's not the thing that's going to be your determining factor, I don't think.
Gotcha. All right. FanDuel last spot, Tim, Santander, Yoshida, or Luke Raleigh?
In a vacuum, I like Raleigh, but I would like to kind of know the rest of the team. But
all right. Tim, FanDuel, GPP, you want Rays or Guardians? Pricing doesn't matter. I'm rich as hell, Greatness says. He didn't say that. I added that in.
That's pretty tough. I like them both. I think the Rays.
Okay. Crazy Coop, Carty, you want Neto and Moniak or Endy and Sawinski?
It's probably Neto and Moniak for me. I don't love either set, but
okay. FanDuel Cash, Carty, right back to you here in the util. You want Rutschman or R Green?
Riley Green for sure.
Okay. Red Stack tonight, Tim and DK.
Red Stack
in
DK. I'm not really about that. I mean, I'm not saying Webb is good, but it's not necessarily somebody I want to stack against.
Okay, Tim, this is a question from Fick Nostrum. We got about 5-6 minutes until lock here. With the giant stack in a DK GPP, do you like Webb, Wisely, Suzuki, or Canning, Schmidt, Soler?
I think the second one.
Okay. Arlo says, Tim, I didn't hear much about the Angels in DK Cash, but they have a high IRT. What are your thoughts on the left-handers like Moniak, Moose, and Cabbage? Cabbage? Is that a person?
Yeah, there's a guy named Cabbage playing tonight.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
I don't think you need Cabbage in Cash. That's the issue. Like, I mean, that's kind of the problem. Like, I'm fine with playing like a min-price punt play on some slates. I don't think this is the one. I'm fine with him in tournaments, but I think Cash, that's kind of a stretch.
Okay. Also, it took me that entire time to figure out what IRT is, implied run total. Look at me learning stuff.
I think the Angels are great. Like, they're a fine play. I think getting exposure to them in tournaments and a couple pieces in Cash is fine. Cabbage would not be one of them for me.
Okay. The Grinch says, Carty, I'm going to make you work. Second base, DKGPP. He's got 3,100 left. What do you like there at second for 3,100?
Second base, 3,100. Oh my!
And you've already discussed this position. Not great.
So the guy who projects the best under 3,100 is Brett Wisely at 2K for San Francisco. So do something else with your money.
Very good. All right. I like it. Let's see. Where are we here? All right. Ball says DK Cash, Carty, McKinstry or Conforto?
I probably go McKinstry first, but I do like Conforto also.
Okay. MT Red Sox says, let's see. Tim, can you play Gilbert and Gray on the same line in tournaments? P.S. It's good to see Carty coming around on Lefty Masters. We were worried about you there for a second.
Yes. They want to play Gilbert and Gray. I mean, I guess. I mean, it's fine. It's fine. Yes, you can.
Okay. Yeah. DK Cash. Tim, I'm coming to you here. Oh, not a 4v4. Don't do it. Okay. God. All right. Tim, I will allow you to take this or refute it. Do you want a 4v4?
Yeah, that's fine.
You're a nice human. DK Cash 4v4. Furman, Betts, Nito, Isbell, or Rodriguez, Lowe, Witt, Moniak?
The first one.
Sit Down Son says, what did Roth say about the Pirates game with the delay? The late start was expected, so I'm not, doesn't change anything, doesn't do anything. I expect the game to play. I called that at the start of the show, so. DK tournaments, Carty, Lane Thomas, Gunner, or Otani Nito?
I think that's Otani Nito for me.
RC player says, Carty, is that your house or a really good background? That's his house. Amateur Hour says, Tim, mid-size DK GPP, Outman Vierling or Hayward McKinstry? I've got 5 Dodgers.
The one with McKinstry in it.
Okay. Tim, you're playing Cash tonight, but you don't want to make cabbage. I don't know what that means.
I got it. It was a thin joke, but I got it.
It's slang for cash. You see, that's the joke. It means cash.
I got it.
It's always good when we got to explain it. We got about 1 minute left here. Favorite SP2 on DK was Gore. Was it Gore
for both?
I think it's Gore. I think it's Gore. Yeah.
Carty, would you play Wilson Contreras as a one-off?
Yes, I most definitely would.
Okay. Ashvin Suresh, my favorite question is any must-have DK bats outside of Ohtani?
It's hard to say must-have, but like I think Bobby Witt just makes so much sense at that position. I think Wilmer Flores, noted lefty masher Wilmer Flores, is maybe a must tonight in cash. Yeah.
Okay. We got a question about winds and Wrigley. I've got the wind at like 5 miles per hour or less for most of the game. It is blowing in from right, but it's not much of a wind. Carty, did you have more than that?
Yeah, last I looked, I had it more like right around that speed, but more like across for the first couple hours and then shifting to being out from what you said, out from right.
Yeah. Weather Edge had it pretty neutral with a pretty big sample size. So
interesting. Yeah, that's rare to see. Usually, if the wind is at all in or out, it's okay. We are less than a minute until lock here. How do you feel about stacking Baltimore, LA?
I think it's great.
Yeah, we like that. Eric says DK Carty, like a twin stack?
Not really. The Twins are probably one of my least favorite teams. Like I know you're going to get the leverage off of Gilbert. I just don't think you need it tonight, and I think they project poorly enough where it's probably not for me.
Very good. Hey, we've hit the lock, and as much as I would love to hang out, I will request 2 things. 1, hit us with a thumbs up. 2, join the RG Discord. We're really going to be focusing in a lot of efforts on that Discord channel, so make sure you're hanging out with us there. 3, after chugging that beer, I have to pee so bad, so we're going to get on out of here. So for Carty, for Tim, for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes. Guys, we appreciate you. We love you. And we will catch you tomorrow. You have been crushed.